This video is sponsored by Professional Photographers of America. Join a community of over 31,000 photographers that includes equipment insurance, education, and business tools made specifically for small business owners like you. Over the last couple of videos, I made it a point to let you guys know that using a feature with off-camera flash called high-speed sync will limit the amount of power that your light is capable of using. In this video, I wanted to let you guys know exactly how much power you lose with the Godox lights that I own, since I use and recommend their products. But it's important to note that this power loss with high-speed sync isn't just limited to Godox lights. Because of how high-speed sync works, by design, any light offering this feature will also experience this loss in power using high-speed sync. And I think it's safe to say that for any light with high-speed sync, once you enter into high-speed sync, you will lose at least one stop of power. I know it can get a little bit confusing talking technical with stops of light, but all this really means is that once you enter into high-speed sync, your light is only capable of reaching half of its power, or sometimes even less than half. Although I am just going to be demonstrating the loss of power with high-speed sync in the Godox lights that I own, since I already have them, if you guys are interested, I will rent out the lights of other brands out there and test the power loss and high-speed sync with those brands as well. So if you guys want to see that, be sure to let me know in the comment section below. Although I had known about the power loss using high-speed sync, it was never really an issue for me because I was using bigger strobes which had plenty of power and using those strobes close to the subject, which utilizes that power very well. Had I been using smaller lights which have less power and using those lights further away from the subject, which doesn't really utilize the power very well, especially with the softboxes that I use, I definitely would have been avoiding high-speed sync much sooner, especially if I was ever in a case where I needed more power from my lights. Way back in August of 2019 at the Sony Candle 3.0 event, I actually was forced to avoid high-speed sync because my transmitter had messed up and high-speed sync wasn't working with the light. Because I wanted to use wide apertures in that bright sunny day, I knew that instead of using high-speed sync, I can get the same results using a ND filter, so that's exactly what I did. Breakthrough Photography, the company, had a booth at the Sony event where you could check out gear, so I ended up borrowing a 6-stop ND filter. That single experience was so eye-opening in how much light I was missing out on for years using the Godox 8200 in high-speed sync that when I avoided high-speed sync and used it normally, it felt like a much stronger light, similar to the Godox 8400 Pro, for example, which is double the power. And there's actually a reason for that. The Godox 8400 Pro in high-speed sync is actually weaker than the Godox 8200 Pro without high-speed sync. I know you guys are very curious to know how much power each Godox light loses using high-speed sync, so here's a chart on the screen for that with all the technical information for the people that prefer to get that information that way. And for the visual people like myself, here's how I would relabel the Godox lights to describe how much power they now have using high-speed sync. It's very important to note that once you enter into high-speed sync, your light is going to then act as if it was a continuous light source. So once you go into faster shutter speeds, you will have to increase the power of your light to compensate for that increased shutter speed. So for example, if you're at half power at 1/500th of a second, once you go to 1/1000th of a second, you then need to increase the output of the strobe to full power. Every single one of the Godox lights at the minimum loses 1.2 stops of power. And since one stop of power means half power on that flash, if you're only accessing 1.2 stops less, that means that you're only accessing less than half power of each of those Godox lights. This loss in power is the exact reason why it makes no sense to use high-speed sync if your main goal is to overpower the sun. Since you would be competing with the bright sun to overpower it, it would only make sense to use as much power as your light has to offer and not less. In the past, I have heard some well-known figures and YouTubers advise using high-speed sync to overpower the sun, which is definitely not correct. It's absolutely wrong, which is exactly why I've been trying so hard to let you guys know about the power loss in high-speed sync and why it's not going to be the best thing to do to overpower the sun. Rob Hall made an excellent video discussing which lights are going to be best for overpowering the sun, so if you guys want to see that, check out the link that's going to be in the top right corner of the screen. I've already covered why I mainly use my Godox 8300 Pro in previous videos, such as my most recent one reviewing the relatively new sensor ND filters, but it bears repeating here as well. If I can achieve the same end results with my portrait photography using a much smaller and lighter strobe with the ND filter, as opposed to a bigger and heavier strobe with high-speed sync, then that's exactly what I'm going to do because it's a simpler setup. I know that so far in this video, it seems like I'm telling you to never use off-camera flash with high-speed sync, but that's definitely not the case. The only reason why I've been making so many videos talking about this power loss in high-speed sync is because I personally know how limiting it can be having less power available in your lighting in bright sun. I live in South Texas where it's bright and sunny year round, and if I was only ever able to use a speed light at my photo shoots, then I would either be specifically scheduling those shoots on cloudy days, scheduling the shoots to be at sunrise or sunset where it's not too bright out, or if I needed to shoot in a bright sunny day, then I would be restricting myself to shooting in the shade. And doing all of that is very, very restricting, and I'm definitely someone who does not like limitations in my work. A video that I made recently shows me using a $60 Godox TT600 speedlight, and it was specifically because I shot in cloudy conditions on the day of that shoot that I was able to take a variety of photos that day. For some shots, I actually underexposed the background a little bit for a more moody look, and it was specifically because of that cloudy day that I was able to do that. Had it been a sunny day, then I definitely would not have been able to underexpose the background that dark. Had it been a bright and sunny day that day of the photo shoot, then I would have definitely been limited with the power of a speedlight, and having more power available to me would have given me more flexibility in my shooting. More power would allow me to move the light further away if I needed to, use a bigger modifier, shoot faster if I needed to, or simply underexpose the background, overpower the sun if that was the look that I was aiming for. But if you don't intend to shoot in bright sun, you can definitely get by with just a little bit of light, which I actually have done in the past when I used the Godox TT350, which is their mini speed light. Before I continue, I do want to talk about today's sponsor, which is Professional Photographers of America. PPA offers so many unbeatable benefits, such as the $15,000 worth of equipment insurance that's included with membership. And today I wanted to let you guys know that that insurance policy just got better, because now you can get full replacement coverage with a flat $350 deductible, or you can repair your equipment with a flat $50 deductible. There's honestly too many benefits to not be a member of PPA. They offer that full replacement equipment insurance policy, data loss recovery services, help with contracts, a new educational platform, and access to Imaging USA. And all of this is included in the membership. If you're interested in signing up, be sure to use my link in the description area below for a special discount off of your membership. Whether you're just beginning and want to start off on the right foot, or if you've been shooting for a while but want to take your business to the next level, PPA is where you need to be. I still do use high-speed sync, and actually in the behind-the-scenes footage that I'm going to be ending this video with, I'm using the Godox 8300 Pro in high-speed sync, but you should definitely take notice of how close the light is, which was actually necessary because of how bright it was outside. You should also take note of how big the modifier is, because I made sure not to use anything too big so I can utilize the power of the 300 better. Instead of using something like a 5-foot modifier, I intentionally used the Godox 80 S65W, which is their 65cm softbox. After the sun went down and it became night, I no longer needed a fast shutter speed, which meant that I no longer needed to use high-speed sync, since high-speed sync is for lowering the ambient with a fast shutter speed, and I actually needed to do the opposite, which was increase the ambient using a slower shutter speed and or a higher ISO than normal. I made sure to leave the XF data next to the photos in case you guys wanted to see that. I hope this video was helpful, and if it was, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I am currently working on several different helpful videos, so stay tuned for those. Again, a big thanks to PPA for sponsoring this video. If you guys are interested in signing up for PPA, use my link in the description area below for a special discount off of your membership. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.